Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We're glad you're here. This is the fourth and final preliminary presentation to membership. My name is Dave Hunter. I serve as the board president, and I will make a few introductory comments today and then turn it over to Nathan and Larry to make the balance of the presentation. There will be questions and answer period after the presentation is complete. I want to take a minute and kind of summarize and review what has brought us to this point. There have been on again, off again discussions and initiatives undertaken to replace the pool. You're going to hear some history today about the pool, the current pool, the prior pool. This would be the third generation. In February of this year, in the first quarter board meeting, the board announced to membership that we were in the process of identifying and engaging a pool design company, which we did. It is Medallion Pools out of Asheville. Mr. Mark Dorsey is the engineer. Medallion and Dorsey have built a number of commercial application pools, private community pools, residential pools. Very good references that we were able to receive on them. So that engagement took place. Also in February, we shared with the community draft language for the board policy manual regarding leading significant change at Conisty Falls. Whenever we edit the board policy manual, we're required to share those proposed edits in advance with membership and give them a chance to feed back to the board before the board votes. And in that policy, we talked about the need whenever we lead significant change, and embarking on a capital project like this is significant change. The board has a non-negotiable obligation to communicate as much information as possible in advance of any decision-making with regards to that change. So we started that process with the pool survey back in June. It was open for 2 weeks. We got over 600 survey responses. We then provided to the community a 5-page executive summary of the findings of the survey, as well as an examination of the quantitative data that we were mining through the member comments. There were 800 member comments that came in along with the surveys. So that was provided to membership. And in the board meeting, in the annual meeting in August, we announced we were going to make these member presentations. And that brings us to today. And I would draw your attention to the fact that the cover slide refers to a preliminary recommendation. That's what this is. And so the purpose of these meetings has been to communicate the concepts, the renderings that have been developed to this point, and solicit member feedback. And we have done that, and we have received, and we anticipate receiving more feedback today. We are capturing that. Marty Hodgkins, our board secretary, is taking copious notes. And we will generate from that a summary and an FAQ to share with members. So look for that over the next week or so, the FAQ. So that's what brings us to today, the last of the presentations of the preliminary recommendations to the community. We'll have some background information from Nathan. Then we'll ask Larry Rourke, who is the board director and is also the board liaison to the Facilities Planning Committee, and has kind of taken lead in this project, to update you on the vision. And then we'll circle back around and ask questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. Sound good? All right, great. Thank you. Nathan?
Thank you, Dave. Good afternoon, everyone. We asked this last meeting, and I'm just curious, how many of you have seen this presentation already? Okay. How many of you the first time? Wonderful. Love it. Love to see everybody engaged. That's awesome. So thank you for being here today. Okay, so for those of you, IT already reminded me, I'm going to click the screen. I always forget. All right, so today's agenda, we'll walk through an executive summary. We'll talk, as Dave mentioned, we'll talk a little bit about the history of the pool and how we got here today. We'll walk through the pool survey and what the membership identified as their priorities. Larry's going to walk us through the vision. We'll talk a little bit about next steps, some thank yous for those of us that helped get us to the point we're at today, and then, as Dave mentioned, we'll end with Q&A. So the executive summary. As mentioned, this is a preliminary recommendation for the CFPOA pool replacement project. There are some final recommendations pending, a final project pricing. The current estimated budget is $3.5 million, following receipt of the general contractor bids. Final funding plan anticipated to primarily utilize amenity reserves with an incremental contribution from the existing capital reserve where we already reserved for the pool. Following that, a finance committee would need to review it and perform a financial analysis of the proposed funding plan. And then final determination of the soil condition and suitability for construction. Current funding projections do not anticipate a special assessment to fund construction of the project. The current pool complex has been in service since 1997 and is at or ending its useful life. Since that time, the number of homes in Conisty has nearly doubled, and we currently sit around 1,500 today. The top 5 recommendations from the survey identified maintaining a quality amenity for future generations at 59%, managing long-term maintenance costs at 49%, supporting fitness, exercise, and wellness at 39%, and extending the pool season at 33%, and supporting recreational and family use at 31%. This pool replacement project can only go forward by membership vote. The CFPOA Facilities Planning Committee and Board believe a 2-pool solution best meets the expectations of members, and today's presentation will tell you why. For the history. For the first pool, as mentioned, it was we've been in operation. The first pool was in operation from 1973 to 97, so about 24 years. At that time, the community consisted of about 400 residences. The pool was approximately 60,000 gallons with a very small footprint, or a ratio of about 150 gallons per residence. The typical gated market expectation for a community like Conisty is a 90 gallon per residence. The GM at the time, and in the 1997 November Conisty Falls News stated the swimming pool renovation has started. When complete, the pool complex should meet our needs for now and well into the future, with a planned completion and opening part of Memorial Day weekend. The current pool, as previously mentioned, been in service since 1998, or 28 years, opened with a volume that we currently have today of about 100,000 gallons, and with about 800 homes in the community, or a ratio of about 125 gallons per residence. The residential density is currently close to 1,500 homes, as mentioned, and that ratio of 66 gallons per resident, which is below the market expectation. At build out, in 20 years, Conisty is expected to be around 1,700 homes. With the current pool, as mentioned, it's been in service for 28 years and it's at or nearing its useful life. We have increasing repair needs as aging equipment and components are reaching their useful life as well. Aging infrastructure, including restrooms, changing areas, requires significant reinvestment. The community has grown from 800 to 1,500 homes since the pool was built. Pool replacement and modernization have been studied for more than a decade. Previous planning has considered both recreational, fitness, and wellness needs. So the survey and the member priorities. So the core demographics dilemma. So the survey identified multiple pool concept preferences. Community feedback highlights a challenging diversity of user priorities caused by two distinctive resident groups, differentiated by pool usage and their respective needs. So demographic breakdown, we have fitness and wellness users. They seek structured exercise, water aerobics, and low impact activity. They value predictable conditions for fitness and wellness programming. And on the other hand, we have recreational and family users. They seek recreational swimming, family activity and social use, who value flexibility and unstructured swimming and play. Our main dilemma, how do we integrate everyone's wants and needs into a one pool everything design that supports a community the size of Coniston with expected future growth and diverse priorities? So what matters most for a new pool? So members were asked to rank their priorities for the future pool facility. Again, 59% responded with maintaining a quality amenity for future generations. 49% responded with managing long-term maintenance costs. 39% supporting fitness and exercise and wellness. 33% extending the pool season. 31% supporting recreational and family use. 25% in maintaining strong reserve funding. So the survey identified current pool limitations. 82% long-term viability as important or very important. 55% as aging infrastructure as the greatest limitation. 36% as crowding as the greatest limitation, or 28% as the lack of fitness and wellness space. This facility's greatest shortfalls, members identified 55% aging infrastructure and mechanical systems, 37% crowding during peak periods, 28% limited fitness and wellness space, 24% limited deck or seating space, 22% short seasonal operating window, 19% lack of accessibility features, and 16% no significant limitations. The operational impacts we face today. So we have a scheduling friction. For many years, our staff has faced constant pressure to divide the limited hours from all the different user groups. So we have open swim time, which is for our recreational users, lap lane swimmers, our aerobics class participants, walk exercisers, and our ambulatory users. Our member dissatisfaction is that all these different groups report their core expectations are compromised, affecting their demand and enjoyment. Many have stopped coming to avoid the conflict or due to the lack of adequate space. The safety risks, we have high intensity recreational swimming overlapping with therapeutic users. And often our lap lane dividers are either ignored or compromised, causing the water to be turbulent or impacting structured swimming. A conclusion, a single footprint is no longer sufficient for our growing community. And with that, I will turn it over to Larry Rourke to walk us through the vision today.
Can everybody hear me? Good. I've got a pointer up here I'm going to use, so hopefully you remember how to do that.
On.
It's on?
Yep.
Good. So this is basically a flyover of what we think the design is going to be. This is the pointer. My finger is going to try to help you through some of the stuff that I want to focus on as we go through here. But I think this bird's eye view gives you an overall idea of what the layout is and how it fits within current constructs, especially as it relates to where the golf course is, which is in this direction out that way, and then the pickleball courts, which are off to the side to the left here. So the first thing is, let's talk about the community pool vision. That's the big pool. This, and I'm going to walk you through this in a little more detail, and I'll bring up a video that'll blow this up, but I want to go ahead and at least hit the primary things. It's there for recreational swimming. If you remember what Nathan just walked you through, it's unstructured, it's there for family use, it's there for the kids, families, guests, and so on. It allows active recreation swimming, and it still allows structured fitness through another pool so that we don't have to worry about the conflicts for those demographic user groups that we identified. Provides capacity to accommodate increased recreational use during the summer. Remember, we've got to look outwards for 30 years. This isn't just the next 10 or 15 years. So We don't want to be coming back and forth every 10 years and trying to add more to this facility. We want to get it right this time, like they did when the early pool designs. So let me go through some of the details. So initial things that we're looking at is the depth, and I'm going to use the pointer. This is basically a shelf. Here are 3 steps down, 4 steps down into the 3.5 depth. So this is only about 8 inches, 12 inches. And those of you that are from Florida, you've probably seen these sort of things. They're called Baja shelves down there. They're there, people sit in them, like literally lay down in them. Sometimes they take a chaise and sit them in there and sit down and just soak up the rays. That's what this is, and it's obviously positioned near where the pavilion is, and I'll talk about that in more detail at the end. The center of this pool is 5-foot depth. It's basically in this area here. We carry that Baja shelf along the edge, and the reason we did that is that, again, in Florida, with a lot of new pool concepts that are going in, people like to sit and socialize by the edge of the pool. So this is down about 8 inches, just like that platform is at the top of that pool design. We've got that going along the same side down to this area here, which is just providing another entrance, not as big as the one that I showed you before, but it's another location for people that are sitting and lounging in this area here to be able to get into the pool area. Again, that comes down to a 3.5 depth, so it's 3.5 tapering down to this 5 foot, which is in the center area. Let's talk about this here. This is zero entry. Zero entry. There's a lot of people that didn't seem to understand that before. It's as if you're walking on a sand beach. You're not walking in sand, you're on concrete. It's slip-proof, but basically what you're doing is you're walking in a zero, just as if you're walking on this floor, and you don't notice it. The slope is that gradual, walking down into the pool area. So you'll walk down and then slowly go all the way down at a very selective slope path all the way down to here, and it gets to the 3.5 depth again. Okay? This is an ideal spot for families with young kids, toddlers and so on, to be able to come in here and they can play in here. Along here, you can just see barely. You can see that same Baja shelf concept is right here and down along this edge here. The pool area has got, and later on, we're going to have a chart that shows you, because a lot of people question, and I know you have questions, those of you that have had in the last few years that have come down and looked at the number of lounges we got, the number of umbrellas, or I should say the limited number of these, and have not liked it because there wasn't enough capacity for everybody. We think that we're going to show you the comparisons between where we are today and where we think this new complex will provide you the support that you need in that area. In this thing, we've also got an area that's just got basically artificial grass in it. This is an option that we're considering. It's just another way to take a look at another approach to having a nice, warm, comfortable approach to people sitting and lounging with young kids and so on, so that they've got grass rather than hard concrete. Now, one thing I want to point out. If we had this open, I'm sure I'd get questions. What in the hell are you doing with all this shrubbery, with all these tall trees and everything? That's not what it will end up being. It's there just to show what we can do. What we intend on doing is taking these barriers that we've got and these separations between the different pools and along the edge, we're aesthetically trying to make it so it's more enjoyable to look at, so it's non-industrial. And that's the same reason why we got some of these indents in the pool outlay that we've got here. So we expect to utilize our own resources for the expertise that we've got in our garden clubs here to help decide what we put in those. So just an example of what could be done. I think I'll go ahead and pass on to the next one. This is the fitness and wellness pool. This is from inside the pavilion looking out in the pool. And again, just like it did with the community pool, when we get to the details of trying to help you understand what we're doing with the fitness and wellness pool, I'll blow that up and we'll talk about that in more detail. In the meantime, Let me just reiterate what we had talked about in part of Nathan's presentation. It does have full ADA compliance, as this whole complex does. That includes the entry ramps and ambulatory ease of entry into the whole facility, as well as the restrooms and the changing rooms and so on. It's a structured environment for this fitness and wellness pool. This is where the classes would be held for exercise. This is where walk users don't have to worry about turbulence in the main pool. They can go out and exercise up and down these lanes that are available. We have lap lane markers in there, float devices, so that will distinguish both visually and physically where lap lane swimmers can swim and where walk users and ambulatories can use those lanes individually for what they would desire. This is a blow-up of it. Now let me walk you through this a little. 75 foot is the total length of this. One of the initial presentations, someone indicated that we were going to be a little less than 75 foot. We've come back with that vendor and we've made sure that it's at 75 foot. That was the original desire of the FPC and we're going to maintain that. There's a reason why we can't go beyond that and why he was sensitive to that. We're going to have what is called a retractable cover. I got to stop from leaning down because I found out today I blow the sound on the video if I look down. So I'm going to have to try to keep looking at you guys. What we're going to do, and I'm going to use the pointer, you can see where it's dark up here along this, where the coping is. And if I had the same video from either side, it would show the same thing coming all the way down, all the way to this end. That's how we're going to extend the pool season. This is a mechanical cover that is going to be, with a push of a button, we'll be able to cover the whole entire length. The dilemma we've got is 75 foot is starting to approach the maximum limit of 80. And that's why we are trying to make sure we don't go above the 75. Okay? Each lap lane, the current lap lanes that we've got visual markers in the current pool on the base of the pool. It shows 4 lanes. As you know, during the summer, all we're able to do is put up 1 lane because of all the groups and people, different groups that are using that pool now. That width is 6 foot where we have those lane markers today. This pool is going to be 7 foot wide for each of the lanes. So it's a little wider. And then what we have is this ambulatory ramp. It's a lot like zero entry, but it's even a longer approach to allow people that have got ambulatory issues, even people that have got shoulder issues, got balance issues, those that have got ankle, knee, leg, hip issues. That's going to allow these people to come in and start using this facility and actually walking the length of the pool. So that slope stops at about right here, and the perspective is that most people are going to be able to be buoyant by the time that they get down in this ladder area. So this will be a little platform here, and it'll be a 3.5 depth. So it'll be 3.5 sloping up until we get in this area here. There's been a request, and multiple requests since the FPC is working on this, and even within the FPC, can we extend the depth of this pool? It's possible. We aren't there yet, but we're taking that information and we're seeing how we can configure this so that we can allow classes that are deep water aerobics to be able to utilize this pool, along with the rest of this pool being able to use all the way down through here to be able to be used for shallow water aerobics, because that's our highest demand class that we've got today. We have an ADA ramp for people that come in through the main entrance that'll be able to sit here. If we have people that want to watch what's going on in the fitness pool, they can do that here. And if they are wheelchair or ambulatory challenged, they can use the ramp to get down here and eventually get over to the pool. This is the entrance to the pavilion. And let me take a few minutes and explain this. Up front, and we've gone back since we've listened to some of the responses from the last 3 presentations, we have re-verified and re-verified. We're only, and you're going to have to just trust us in this. I know that's a question mark for some of you, but we're going to lose 4 spots. That's it. So we don't think we're going to impact parking that much, but at least we're going to impact it that many. So we're going to change this whole aspect, this whole flow, one, to improve the traffic flow around here, but more importantly is to improve, because this was at a diagonal going, if we carried this angle here, the current parking goes all the way up through here. What we're seeing, and I was down there yesterday, is people trying to back up and coming around like that and backing up here towards where the people are using the walkway in the parking area to get into the pickleball facility. So what we're going to do is clean all that up, all concrete, and level all that. This area here and the parking lot area between here and there, which is another entry to get into the pool, has about an 11 to 18-inch slope, depending on where you're standing. So this facility is even, so you can walk in with a wheelchair, you can ride in a wheelchair, it's all even. I'll show you what happens when we go to the other side. This will be the entrance, not only for pickleball users in here, but also for all ADA pool users and anybody that wants to walk in that doesn't want to go through the front entry. This pavilion is nothing more than a shell structure, and I'll show you what it's going to look like inside. Everything that we've got that goes over to Bocce, this current walkway, everything we got there is the same. There were questions as to why we don't have a bike rack. We're going to have a bike rack. We're looking at putting bike racks in because we're seeing more and more people and kids starting to use bikes. So we know we have to do that. It's going to require a key fob to get in here, and it'll be a key fob to get into this area here. Other than that, landscaping is going to be here to provide aesthetically a nice approach to this, but more importantly, provide a vehicle barrier too. Here's what the entryway is going to look like where the pickleball users are currently coming in. So this is a key fob entry here. One of the questions that they've had in the past is we need to have ice and water dispensers. So if those of you that are golfers have been on the golf course and you see those nice ice dispensers and the water dispensers we've got, the concept is we're going to do the same here. And we're also going to provide the same inside the pool area. The restrooms are going to be off to the side here. So restrooms going to have to still use the key fob to get into the pool area to access the restrooms. I think that's about all I want to talk about there. Now let's talk about this. This is what the pavilions look like. And what I'm going to do, I just want to reinforce, this is an area that is there for people that want to sit there and watch the fitness and wellness and classes and so on. That's got the ADA ramp in the background. This is all the same level going in here. You notice we got 3 steps going down. This is the pool over. Remember I told you that there's a higher parking lot elevation going down, so we had to come up with a way to go ahead and support that. This is probably the best way because guess what the other advantage that this provides? People can be sitting in here in the shade, watching what's going on in the pools, and they'll be able to have a little better viewing angle seeing what's going on in the pool areas. Now I've got to blow up with this. So everybody wants to know, what does this look like inside? It's literally just a shell structure. There's no underline, no HVAC whatsoever in this, not planned. It is all open. These are vinyl curtains in case of inclement weather occurs. We can basically pull those down and tie those down to the floor. This isn't going to have a bar. It's not going to have a kitchen. The only thing we put in is we're putting in a 6-foot-long counter with a sink in the center. Nothing more. This is for leisure. This is for relaxation. This is for environmental protection. This is for getting away from those weather issues. Railings and everything for those stepways going down, and we're really enhancing the look of this by the stone that we've got here, which is the same that we've got the AWC. I'm also going to go ahead I want to go back to the community pool because I want to walk you through this now that I've given you all that. So you might wonder where are those restrooms. The restrooms are currently located as you come through the gate right to this side here. The restrooms, the FPC hasn't finalized all the fine details on that, but I can tell you they're going to meet code. And when I say code, they're going to be ADA compliant. They're going to have more than enough I'll say urinals and commodes. They're going to have changing stations for babies. They're going to have enough sinks. And the key thing is, especially the women that are in these classes that hate going into the current facility, which is a communal changing area that we've got, it's not going to be communal. It's going to be individual rooms that can be closed off for showers and for changing. And then a large enough table with mirrors and everything to support everything you normally need in an ADA compliant restroom. It's going to have more water and ice out here. It's going to have a shower out here for people that want to rinse off before they go in and change. There's going to be a utility room, which will basically store the pumps and heaters and all the chemicals that are going to be used. Most of the chemicals are not going to be used like we use them today. They're going to be heavily reliant on UV and ozone and sanitation. And then a storage room. And the storage room is there because aerobics instructors have a lot of inflatable devices that they need to use for some of their classes. So that'll be storage for that. And we don't want to leave the furniture out when the big pool is going to be closed down for the winter for 6 months. Then you've got the ability to store some of that more fragile stuff in here so it isn't weather impacted. Other than that, Nathan, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, so why a two-pool solution is being recommended? If we look in the left-hand column and we rank the member priorities identified in the pool survey, and then further down the row here, look at a two-pool solution, or does a one-pool solution or doing nothing achieve those? So a quality amenity for future generations, a two-pool solution achieves that, a one-pool solution achieves that. Doing nothing does not. Managing long-term maintenance costs. Both a two-pool and one-pool solution achieve that, or doing nothing does not. Optimizing support for fitness, exercise, and wellness. A two-pool solution achieves that, a one-pool solution does not. Optimizing family and recreational use, a two-pool solution achieves that, a one-pool solution does not. Extending the pool season beyond what we currently have, a two-pool solution achieves that, a one-pool solution does not. So next steps. As previously mentioned, currently proposed as a $3.5 million project for the entire complex, including a 10% contingency. The proposed funding plan would be taking $3.1 million from the amenity fund, an additional $400,000 from the existing pool capital reserves. Current funding, those are both current contemplated as the funding sources for the project. Final project costs and funding recommendations will be developed following the receipt of the general contractor bids and finance committee review and analysis. The financial analysis will consider reserve fund balances, future reserve funding needs, and the long-term impacts of the project. Based on the current estimates, a special assessment is not anticipated to fund construction. So timeline. As proposed in late August and where we're currently at, we're waiting on general contractor bids. Through the rest of this month and into next month, Finance Committee would review and perform a funding analysis with reserve impacts reviewed. Into September, a final recommendation and a member notice would be shared with the membership, including final project scope, cost, and funding. Proposed in October to conduct a member vote. In November, or phase 1, demolition could begin, if approved by the membership. In January, or phase 2, construction would begin. In March, or phase 3, the pool will be complete and the auxiliary buildings constructed. In April, or phase 4, the pool deck furnishing and furniture ordered. In May and June, or phase 5, certification, testing, and landscaping complete with the targeted opening date of July 2027. So will our POA assessment increase to fund the project? Based on the current $3.5 million project estimate, no increase to the annual POA assessment is currently anticipated to fund construction. The preliminary funding concept utilizes existing amenity and pool capital reserves. Final funding recommendation will follow receipt of general contractor bids and Finance Committee review and analysis. Will a special assessment be required? Based on the current project estimate and preliminary funding concept, a special assessment is not anticipated to fund construction. So current versus new pool. So we currently have 9 umbrellas on the deck. We'd be looking at going to 40. The water surface area we currently have in the main pool is 3,080 square feet. Be looking to go to 3,850 square feet. The smaller pool has 240 square feet currently, and the fitness pool proposed would have 1,800 square feet. We currently have a 100,000 gallon pool. Both of the two pools combined would be 160,000 gallons. So our current deck space is at 8,780 square feet. We're looking at just going to just shy of 10,000 square feet with an additional 1,530 square feet of artificial turf, an additional 1,400 square feet under roof. Our current seating, we have 19 deck loungers, 11 tables, and 39 chairs. Be looking at going to 90 deck loungers with 32 deck chairs with 8 umbrella tables, an additional 24 seats under roof with 40 side lounge tables to accompany the deck loungers. So some thank yous. Facilities Planning Committee. This team has invested significant time and effort in developing a comprehensive understanding of the marketplace, design alternatives, industry trends, gated community benchmarks, engineering considerations, and related factors influencing the project. A unique aspect of this initiative has been the extensive online collaboration with Medallion subject matter experts to refine and finalize details, including rendering, RFP documentation, vendor evaluations, and other critical project components. This collaborative approach accelerated the project timeline while achieving an unprecedented level of detail for a capital project at this stage, fostering meaningful cross-functional exchange of ideas and enabling more informed data-driven decision-making. I'd like to thank Dan Glassow as our chair, Bradley Caldwell, Joe Lapps, Bill Mills, Ed Thomas, Jake Tipstra, Vince Tidwell, Chip Webb, and Larry Rourke as our board liaison. Okay, so Q&A. Everyone please state your name for the record so Marty can pick it up when our diligent note-taking, as well as those on Zoom can hear you. Ask your question or make your comment. Please be respectful of the time limit. Try not to return to the microphone for a second time and allow everyone else to speak. Do not interrupt other speakers. Again, as Dave mentioned, we'll be publishing a detailed FAQ of all sessions. And if you have additional questions, we're invited to send those either to CFPOA or to myself directly. And with that, we will open for Q&A. I'll ask Dave and Larry to join me.
Is this thing live? Apparently.
It is.
Okay, I'm Bill Zelli. I'm a longtime resident here and a retired professional project manager. I've taken projects like this from the conceptual stage on through for 30 years of experience. So my questions have nothing to do basically with the scope of the pool. They're all about how you're going to get this done. First question. The timeline shows that you'll begin demolition and site preparation in a little more than 2 months. Is that right?
Yes, and let me preface, Bill, and add to, we understand this is a very optimistic timeline. And we understand that there are 4 hurdles that we need to get over in order for that timeline to even come into play. So, yes, the plan at this point is to start the demolition as noted.
How is that contract going to be placed? Who's going to do it and who's going to place the contract?
Yeah. Sorry, can you ask the question again?
Yeah. This is going to be contracted, right?
Yep.
Who's going to place the contract, go out for quotes, analyze the bids, supervise the work?
All of that is at the point of looking at GCs. We're working, hopefully, we're going to end up with 2 actually bidding on this. Those bids have not been received at this point in time, if that's your question.
Let me just add, specifically with regards to the demolition. Is that your question?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
What your question was about the demolition,
Yes,
right?
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
You're out for bids now for demolition?
The demolition, the plan is to have Conisty Falls staff handle the demolition,
Okay,
okay?
manage the contractor, they're not gonna.
Yeah, they will probably actually do a lot of the work. Is that correct, Nathan? The POA staff will do the
Demolition, yes.
demolition, right? And something occurred to me as I was listening to the presentation for the 4th time. We talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, which there is a possibility. We refer to that's not all on me. We refer to the contract being out for bid. There isn't a contract right now. What we have is renderings. And so what we have done is we have shared those renderings to get cost estimates, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right.
That is correct.
And only once we have all the feedback from membership and the suggestions for changes and consider those and present it to the membership for a vote, once that is all approved, then it would go out for the actual contracts and bids once that's all settled.
I'm sorry, I thought I understood that the demolition was gonna be handled by us.
I'm talking about subsequent to the demolition.
Okay, would like a little more information about the demolition. That 30-foot high retaining wall that's part of the scope, are our facilities guys going to design that?
That is going to be designed by Medallion, working with whoever the final architecture is that'll be selected for the project. All we're going to do from a demolition standpoint is we're going to basically remove all the current structure that we have on the pool deck itself, and then the GCs will be coming in and taking care of all the rest, if that's your question, answering your question.
Okay, so the general contractor will build that retaining wall, for instance.
Yes.
That's correct.
When are you going to place the general contract?
When are we what?
When are you going to place the general contract? The retaining wall needs to be there before you can start.
When your question is, when are we going to identify who the GC is?
Yes.
Once we have all the feedback from the community and the changes are incorporated, then we can put it out for an actual contract bid. So until that point, we're not sure who's going to do it.
Yeah, but is all of that going to happen between now and November?
We're trying. We're not sure. And if time becomes an obstacle, so be it. We need to adapt and improvise as the conditions evolve between now and when we actually put it to a member vote. That's why we've said these are preliminary recommendations and preliminary schedules.
But once you start demolition, you're in for the count, right?
We won't start demolition until we have a contract from a GC.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. You've answered my question.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Even though you've grossly exceeded the designated 3-minute limit, I'll take my part of the blame on that.
Fine. One more.
No. You can come back. We look forward to hearing from you again. Thank you so much.
I'm Leanne Ely. I'm the president of the Pickleball Club. Would the pickleball members please stand?
For the 3rd meeting, we welcome you, and we're glad you're here.
Some have been here for 4. So
Our condolences to those that have been here 4 times.
I was corrected on our numbers. We have 450 of us. So I just wanted to put that on the record. And we as a board and a club do not support or want a structure on the fence encroaching on the pickleball courts. And we want to make that public and state that because of all the problems that will come from it.
And you have made that public and you have stated that.
And I'm doing it again.
Thank you.
So I want to follow up on the concern we raised about the pool construction because we now have additional information. I spoke with Waylon, who did our courts initially, and I asked them, what is the impact of both the demo and the construction? And this is exactly what they said. Disturbing those areas adjacent to the pickleball courts will cause instability to the subbase, which will in turn damage the courts. How soon? Anywhere from 6 months to 2 years down the road. We put $80,000 into those courts, and to not do a geotechnical engineering study on the impact of all of this is part of the due diligence and preliminary stuff that you have to do. And that was one of the things that they said. They can tell us what this is going to be, but in order for you to have this information, we need to do that. It's a geotechnical, I spoke to 4 firms today all about that. And what they do is they go and then they give you feedback on both the design and the construction and the demolition, by the way, of how to go about that so that those courts are preserved. And that is our absolute concern. Just don't touch the courts. And that means don't touch the fence, and that means no building. So that's where we stand today on all of that. The last thing I want to ask you is, will you commit to bringing in an expert to do this work and at your expense? This is not a risk that we are undertaking. This is a risk that we're being pushed into as a pickleball community. And so therefore, we do not feel like we need to bear the cost on that. And we would like you as a committee to do that.
Consistent with the investments that have been made by the POA in pickleball, we have real concern about protecting that investment. And as we have said, we would want to minimize any potential damage or intrusion or interruption. Given your feedback, we've captured that. We will certainly consider that as we move forward.
That's a non-answer.
That is an answer, Leanne.
No, it's a non-answer.
Thank you very much.
We were just asking for a commitment to preserve them. And
We're-
so
we
you're
will
saying
do-
you're going to do your best.
We absolutely will. You
Okay.
bet. Yep, the POA has made significant investments in pickleball, both in the initial construction. There was intrusion on the pool operation when the pickleball courts were built, and when the pickleball courts were expanded, and when the pickleball courts were resurfaced. And this is something that is included in the infrastructure planning for the community. It's an integral part. It's a key amenity that is provided to members, as is the pool. So we will do our absolute best to preserve, without interruption or diminishment of service levels or member service, the pickleball courts. Thank you.
I'm Susan Riley. I've lived here for over 6 years, and I participate in pool exercises as well as pickleball. So both of these things are very important to me and to my family. I'm also very, very concerned about the intrusion of pool demolition and construction on the pickleball courts, and I was wondering why that portion cannot be moved to another side.
That suggestion has been made and that feedback has been captured, and we're considering all of that as we go through the next review of this project.
Okay,
So-
my second portion of a question is, I didn't see a separate area specifically for children, and is this in the plan?
Yeah.
No, so children would be using the recreation of the family pool at all times?
That is the current plan, and the survey results did not indicate that that was a high demand or need. So what we did is we made sure that we had a good area in the pool area that's zero entry, and it's an area where parents will be able to monitor the kids, sit there, and actually be able to watch what the kids are doing, and it's protected with the way that we partition everything so that we can keep those people in that area that shouldn't be going into the 3.5 depth.
I think the unspoken concern, Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, is a biological event, as we refer to it here at Coniston Falls.
That was a portion of my concern.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
When this came up on Saturday, I asked Nathan, who has been affiliated with a number of communities, what their community has done. What those communities have done?
Yeah.
Can you share that with the group?
I mean, it certainly happens, right? So it's inevitable as a part of it. I think most of my experiences have been kind of like that scene in Caddyshack where they thought it was something, but it actually wasn't. It was a leaf floating by. But it certainly happens, and it is an impact to the amenity, and usually it's a 12-hour turnaround to reopen it. So
Right, so it would be closed.
that's correct.
Yeah. And those stanchions or whatever with all those plants and things, with our torrential rains, all I can see is all that dirt going into the pool. So what else would you put in those areas? All those planter things that extend out into the pool or
Su-
right adjacent to the
yeah.
pool?
Susan, we have heard on that, and we hear it again.
Well, this is
And-
my
and-
first that I'm hearing.
No, I
so-
understand.
Okay,
Something else, some feedback, some additional feedback that we got in board correspondence was, what about loss of line of sight of children?
Hmm.
They go around and they're down in that little corner. So there's a number of things that we need to consider with regards to those knockouts or whatever you want to call them.
thank you.
And yeah, we do get a lot of water in a very short period of time. Thank you.
My name is Sandy Golnick. I live at 954 Sequilly. I've been here for 4+ years. I'm also a pickleball player, but more, I am a competitive swimmer and have worked in and around pools for over 30 years. The aesthetic of the wellness pool with all of the cutouts limits the functionality of the pool, limits the safety of the pool, the little ledge that's going around all of the pool.
You're talking about the family pool, not the wellness
Well,
pool.
I'm talking about the family pool.
Right.
The little ledge that goes around so people can sit prohibits children and adults from being able to grab an edge in an emergency. Those little ledges cannot cover all the sides of the pool. I'm not going to talk about the stuff that you have all around the pool that's going to blow into the pool, because somebody's already done that. But whoever designed that has obviously never really worked at a pool. Never worked at a pool. Let's talk about safety. That's a very nice little pavilion you've built with all those things, all those places for parents to sit that are a minimum of 10 feet from their children in the pool. Who's watching those children in the pool? Which brings me to my real question. I have heard that you are going to provide an attendant. What is that attendant's training and responsibility? How do you view that attendant?
Nathan, would you like to share on that?
Sure, primarily just managing the pool area, not to serve in a lifeguard capacity.
Not to serve at a lifeguard capacity. No lifeguard.
No, we would,
Managing the pool, does that include correcting when there are floats over 6 feet long in the pool, preventing kids?
that's correct, absolutely.
Safety.
My,
I'm talking safety in the pool, and what are we responsible for based upon this pool that you're building that is a nightmare for a lifeguard or anybody who's in safety?
Rules enforcement is the primary, and access control is the primary purpose of the pool attendant.
I don't really care about who goes in and out with a fob. I care more about what's happening in the safety of the pool. And I
The,
think
the
that that's a-
responsible party for children is the parents.
Yeah, great. Okay. We live that now. The other thing I'm going to talk just briefly is about the health concern with children in the pool. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
we've reached the 3 minutes.
All right, one comment. And the only comment is, children are not the only members of our community who have hygiene issues in a pool. And that's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. You concluded with, in my mind, the most impactful point that I thought it was probably prudent for me not to reference. Oh, I've got 8 grandchildren that come up here during the summer, you bet. Yes, ma'am.
Ellen Parker Gagnon, 28 Duty Court. Been a resident here for over 8 years. I'm a frequent user of both the pool recreationally as well as exercise, and an active member of our pickleball club. I've also served as administrator for our court reservation system, so have some information that I'd like to share for you to be able to take into your discussions as you think about impacts to the pickleball courts.
Great.
First of all, we do have 450 active participants on pickleball. They're registered in our system. This gives them the ability to actually reserve courts. So we have data about court reservations, et cetera. 60 new members just in the past year. So pickleball continues to be growth, and I think a huge amenity for people who are coming here to buy. Let's see. So I think we are one of, if not the largest club in Coniston Falls. Not sure, I don't have the data. But according to the timeline, I know you've put the construction during off-season, both for purposes of the pool as well as pickleball. So I did some data analysis because we consider off-season November through March. That's when our numbers get a little bit lower. We reduce court hours due to lighting, et cetera. And even though it's off-season, the percentage of courts that are actually used is the same during off-season and full season. So just wanting you to understand that off-season doesn't mean no one's using the courts or et cetera. There's a lot of use going on there. Personally, I support constructing a new pool. I think it's time. I think we need to do something and appreciate all the efforts. I also have concerns about the timelines that you've put forth. You've already addressed that. I do have grave concerns about the staging area using, all of that, the building near the pickleball courts. But my question is kind of unrelated to any of that. What is the Finance Committee's role in approving? Did they already approve this preliminary plan before you gave it to the membership for our input? And I see the words review and analysis, but I don't see that the Finance Committee is going to do a ruling. I personally rely on those experts when I'm voting on something, so I wanted to understand what I could expect.
Great question. The Finance Committee is intimately involved with the planning for this project. And there's several elements of that planning. First of all, the verification by the Finance Committee that we have adequate reserves in the amenity reserve and in the pool capital reserve to fully fund the project without an assessment increase or a special assessment to members. That's point number one. In addition to the analysis of the current reserve balances, the Finance Committee also and the board has set what we refer to as a hard deck for the amenity reserve of $1.5 million. We don't want to see, as a result of any project or any committed funding, to see the amenity reserve get beneath $1.5 million. So they have to validate and verify both of those aspects of the reserve funding for this project. That's consistent with the tradition, the long-standing tradition at Coniston Falls, to not go out and incur significant term debt in support of a large capital project like this. We're kind of a unique community in that respect. As for the review versus recommendation, the Finance Committee clearly has co-approval authority with the board on the budget. In other words, the board cannot present a budget to the community that is not approved by the Finance Committee. When it comes to capital projects, there's a disagreement between the bylaws and the board policy manual. And in that case, and there's a little confusion that comes out of that. In that case, in the hierarchy of documents, the bylaws trump the board policy manual. So what the bylaws say is projects above $350,000 require the review and recommendation of the Finance Committee, not the approval. Let me just say this about that. I'm a former chairman of the Finance Committee. I chaired it for 3 years. I served as board treasurer for 1 year. This is my second term on the board. This is my 4th year of service as board president. I do not envision a scenario in which the Finance Committee would recommend against a project that the board would then turn around and recommend to the community. That's just not consistent with our practices in the past and our tradition of fiscal conservatism and a fortress balance sheet with tremendous liquid reserves on hand in the bank and little to no term debt. I believe the only debt we have right now is operating leases on golf carts. Is that correct?
Fairway mowers,
What's that?
golf carts and fairway mowers.
Fairway mowers. You snuck that one in on me. So we're very cognizant of the role of the Finance Committee, and we do rely on them. And I've stated in a board meeting that the board sleeps better at night knowing that when it comes to budget time, the Finance Committee has co-approval on the budget. And you heard Finance Committee Chairman Keith Butler, if you were here on Wednesday, express his very strident position on that as well. Okay.
Bruce Talbot, longtime member, live on Tisquith Circle. My question is, in the pictures, I see 3.5 feet. I've heard you talk about 3.5 feet and then talking about the family pool. Is there any part of the pool that's deeper than that? Okay.
The center area of the pool, I tried to define by the pointer, and it may not be showing up in the audience, but it's 5 foot. That's the deepest area of the pool at this
You know
point
what
in
the
time.
dimensions are for that approximately, Larry?
I don't off my top of my head.
Okay, and I just couldn't tell. And I see the zero entry side that comes in if we were looking at the kind of the L shape of the pool would be on the left. And then it looks like stairs and stairs, like built-in stairs into the pool. Why are we doing that? The people who use it want to recreate, they want to do water aerobics, and they want to swim. We have access to anyone who has any difficulty coming in at zero access. When we put those at all the corners, if there's any time, and there's times when there's nobody at the pool, it would be astoundingly fun to be able to actually have a long lap swim where you're going to run into stairs at both sides. And I think even on the fourth side. So I don't understand why when the activities that are wanted, water aerobics, and it would be fantastic if they could do, and I'll take a step back. The demand for recreation, as I guess what you're calling it, not aerobics or lap swim, is there a demand for that before 10 o'clock?
I don't know.
Schedule of the classes.
I don't know off the top of my head.
There's the aerobics classes, and then there's the volunteer aerobics classes, and then there's lap swimmers throughout the day. So it's not just limited to the classes. There's individual. We had a
I'm talking about the non-class demand. When people just want to go over there and bob in the water or whatever it is you do in a pool when you're not swimming or doing aerobics.
In the wellness pool or in the large pool?
A large pool.
Okay.
Is there, you know, an outcry here going, get these water aerobics people out of here. I want to be playing in the pool before 10, is it 10 o'clock or is it 11 o'clock?
Right now, in the current, let me walk you through what the current pool is doing. We open at 6:30 in the morning, and we've got lap swimmers that are coming in, is my knowledge, at that point in time. At 9 o'clock is when we have some of the shallow water aerobics, and then we have volunteer aerobics that come in after that.
At 10 o'clock,
And
right?
that's at 10.
And with that schedule,
Yep.
which ends at 11, has there been an outcry saying, we'd really like to be in the pool, playing in the pool, the recreational people?
Yeah, let me walk you through that. I mean, for years, we've had operational issues there. The women that have been there in the volunteer aerobics, what has happened is that people, families have come in, regardless of whether or not they're rentals or they're regular residents or guests of residents, I don't know, but come in knowing that the pool is open earlier and want to use the pool. And obviously, with what's going on with the classes, that can happen. Lap swimmers like to be able to have a closed environment where they don't have to worry about open swimming because they don't like to have the turbulence and so on. So those are some of the things that we're hearing.
The lap pool's unbelievable. I can't believe we're going to have that. I'm just trying to see a way that the water aerobics can use the bigger pool. It's huge, you know, compared to what we have now. And to be able to have where they're going to have a better chance to use that for parts of the time, as opposed to keeping either lap swimmers before 8:30. We can't have them there between 8:30 and 9 because there's apparently friction. And then they have to wait, then they'll now have to wait until after 11 o'clock. If the water aerobics can be in this giant pool that has so much room, it now appears, obviously it's deep enough for deep water I don't know, if is 5 feet enough for deep water aerobics?
No, it's
no.
not enough for deep
No,
water.
we've heard that.
And we're taking all of this in. We have to sit back, take a look at all the comments that we received and come up with what we think is the right approach. Once we have all these comments all identified, which Marty's getting a record of all those, we'll start looking at what we need to do and see if anything needs to change.
I've exceeded, I want to know, I guess the question I want to make sure I get clear is, all the cement steps coming in on all the sides, I don't understand what the purpose is, and I think it impedes the activities we've talked about wanting and doesn't stop recreational.
And fully understand that. The vendor came in with this design, and we have been working with him, and he's been doing almost all of the HOAs and POAs in large commercial pools. So we basically sat there and looked at his designs and thought ergonometrically and from a visual standpoint, it met everything that we needed. And that's why we're showing you these renderings to get your feedback, and then we'll make decisions going on from there.
Let me make sure I understand. To paraphrase what you're saying, there's a lot of shallow space in that pool.
Shallow space and where you can't get to the edge because of the steps.
Okay. So between the multiple entries through the steps and the zero entry, it's taking up a bunch of,
Yeah, and we got to have the zero entry. I
Sure.
understand that 100%.
sure.
But all the other ones impede what could be more room for
Sure.
actual swimming and aerobics and recreating.
So you've confirmed my understanding?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
Fully
great, thank you.
Fully understood. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Core. My wife Selena and I have been here for 8 years and loved every minute of it. I'd like to say thanks to you all for sharing this information and everyone working on the committees. I know it's a lot of work and not a lot of thanks. I'm here primarily to echo some of the concerns Leanne brought up regarding the effect on pickleball, and especially restroom building, I guess, the long skinny building that's right up against the pickleball courts. That's going to throw a lot of shade because it's going to be shaded from the south, especially in the winter. That's going to prevent drying of the courts and promote mildew growth, which can be very slippery. Bit of a safety issue. And that's about it. It sounds like the timeline is pretty aggressive, so I would request that you maybe slow it down just a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Hi, I'm Melanie Jarvis. We're new owners here, and I have been a regular at the water aerobics and love it. What I am concerned about, one of the things is that the fitness pool is only 1,800 square feet. It's about 60% the size of the current pool, and we're using easily 60% of that pool in the water aerobics. So we're already at capacity with that new pool that you'd be putting in. So I think that's a concern, that it might be too small, especially, you know, if you're talking about being able to be used for 20 years and you put it out there and it's already at capacity. That's a concern. Another concern that people have already reiterated, but I'm going to say it again, the schedule. What's the rush? I mean, why can't you wait and spend the next year planning and getting everything in place and then start next September on the construction?
This question has come up before, and there is an answer to it.
Okay.
There are motivating factors, one of which is the increased cost a year out versus the cost right now. Very conservatively, it's 6 to 8 to 10%. So it might be $300,000, as much as $300,000. That's an issue. That's a significant, you know, we talk about $80,000 to surface the pickleball courts. Well, we're talking about $300,000 in incremental cost. A related issue is that there's a number of projects in communities around Western North Carolina that are awaiting final approval for FEMA funds to rebuild community pools. And so the pipeline is filling up, and we refer to that as contractor contingencies. Those are going to continue to increase between now and, say, a year from now. So our thought was, if we can, and we knew that it was aggressive, and it's still aggressive.
Extremely aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive. That there were material reasons for wanting to do that. We're not married to it. Given all the feedback that came back in these 4 sessions and the requests for redesign considerations, there may be design savings. Why do you always put it off when I'm talking? Because I'm talking too much. We could have design savings in excess of the 8 or 10% cost inflation. So that's all being considered and captured and will be reviewed and considered and presented to membership again.
Yeah, I'm concerned that the current attempted schedule would guarantee that the pool we won't have a pool next summer. So that's something I'm worried about.
Right. Thank you, Melody. Appreciate it.
And just to comment on, somebody said earlier about the kids being in the pool. In Beaufort, South Carolina, our pool at the Beaufort Yacht Club, we had a kid who hit their head and bled in the pool, and it took 3 full days to get it back open. So just.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Leah Rosenheck. We've been here for 11 years. Quick question. It looks like the whole pool surface area is going to increase by about 25% or 4,000 square feet. Where's that going to come from?
Basically, the existing pool space that we've got is going to be extended probably about 10 to 12 foot, maybe a little further, in towards the golf course. And then there's an area which is diagonally cut towards the parking lot on the right-hand side of where the clubhouse side is. That's going to be also utilized. And then about 2 to 3 foot on that wall up towards the clubhouse, and that's where the additional space is coming from.
So my question is, you guys might want to consider moving that building that's going to be blocking the pickleball courts? I mean, at least the storage facility, maybe the restroom can stay there because it'd be closer to the pool, but maybe consider putting the storage room in the back. Just an
We're-
idea.
We've already had those suggestions, and all I can tell you is that we are documenting these, and we are going to accumulate them all and see what that's going to do to the overall design. But thank you.
Leah, we've heard that a lot.
Okay.
And
Well,
we
this is my
appreciate,
first meeting,
and we
so-
appreciate hearing it again.
Okay.
We hear you, and it's in the record, so thank you very much.
My name's Mark Dewey, and I've been here for 9 years, and I just have some things I just wanted to say. It seems like 90 umbrellas seem like a whole lot around that pool. I've never even seen 90 people at the pool, even during the aerobics classes. Also, I'd like to know, how does volunteer aerobics classes get to close the whole pool down? And so like, people can just say they can do that 5 days a week, close the pool, no lap lanes. Now you can have the aerobics classes in the lap lane pools, still closing the lap lanes down and having a huge pool that's not being utilized for aerobics. And then lap lane swimmers have no place to swim. Also, how many people are currently using the pool? You can get all that data from the key fob.
Right.
And is it the same key fob people using the pool? So what percentage of the community is actually using the pool? And how many attendants are you gonna pay to watch the pool with putting those umbrellas up and down? Maintenance of those umbrellas, those beautiful wooden chairs, are people gonna put those in the pool and sit on the loungers in the pool? Get those wet? People, and then why do you need so many entry points into the pool? You know, we only really need one, 0 entry. And let me see. The other thing I was gonna say is, it seems like the pool's been there first, and maybe they should have a racket and paddle club and have the pickleball courts moved over where the tennis courts are in that open area, and then have a nice racket bathroom.
There's
shady
a
area over there.
problem with that land over there. That used, at one time, that was the golf driving range, but it was also a landfill. And it has decomposing material down to what, 120 feet? We've done surveys of the soil over there because it would be a prime expansion location, but given the composition of the soil, it's just not feasible.
And then why don't you just put in some permanent shade areas instead of having 90 umbrellas? I mean, that's just, you know, if I'm sitting on a lawn chair and somebody puts the umbrella up and I don't want it up, then what? You got 4 people covered with 1 umbrella. Then what? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Marty, did you get all that? Good. What's that?
I hope this is being recorded.
It is.
It
You
is.
can go back and listen to the notes.
Yeah, we will, but I just wanted to make sure that he was taking the notes. And one of the ladies had some data from pickleball. If you could forward that to the board as well, we'd certainly appreciate that. That would be helpful. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Patricia Clavora. I've lived here for about 2.5 years, but I plan on being here for another 30. So this is kind of important to me looking forward. I play pickleball. I also am a swimmer. I have also been around pools for 55 years since I started swim team at the age of 6. I think a couple of things. I like the idea of this fitness pool. One of the questions I have for that, because I've swum laps and I've been bonked in the head with a ball and this and that, will that be adult only?
We haven't even considered that. It's first we've heard.
It's something to consider.
There's all sorts of protocols that we have to consider, given the fact that for the first time, if this is approved, we would have 2 separate pools. And what does that translate into in terms of the operations of the aquatic center or aquatic complex as opposed to the operation of the one big pool? So we are cognizant of the need to address those types of things. Very, very good point. Thank you.
And the other kind of, I guess it's a safe, and I don't have children to come here. I won't have well, I grandnieces and nephews, but when it comes to pool safety, I watch children like a hawk because I've also been a lifeguard. And I have seen stuff where I have not said anything, but I'm like, that's dangerous, that's dangerous. You don't jump over kids, you don't flip over kids. I've seen so much activity that keeps me away from the pool because it is just dangerous. So that's somehow, I don't know how to be addressed. I one time told the child and I got you're not my mother. And I was like, no, I know I'm not, but that's dangerous.
Yes, we've heard that there have been interfamily dialogues about the behavior,
and-
of offspring.
For the larger recreational pool, what might be helpful from a safety perspective, if you have the 3.5 feet areas, and because you're not lap swimming or whatever, it may be one area we actually had a rope that kept you out of the 5-foot area, and that would be a little bit helpful, so. And
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm Ed Bank. I've been here just about 7 years. I am a pickleball player. But my question relates to the way that you approach this project that I don't quite understand. And it was sort of addressed by the gentleman beforehand, is how did you determine capacity levels? We hear 90 umbrellas, I hear shade areas, I hear the size of the pool based on gallonage. How does that relate? What numbers do you have that say, this is the usage, this is how many people, this is my maximum number of people, and we should only ever design to 75% of maximum. That's the way you do capacity planning. So that's my real question is, how are those numbers determined? Because again, I look at pickleball and I say, yeah, courts are open at varying times. I also know what it's like to schedule a court. I look at that pool while I'm playing pickleball, and we got 40 people playing pickleball, and there's 6 people in there. Not that that's wrong, not that there shouldn't be a place for the 6 people to be there, or the 15, or the
I get
20.
that.
But what does it look like on Memorial Day weekend? What does it look like on July 4th weekend? And then what does it look like next weekend, or the weekend, not even a holiday weekend, the 3rd weekend in September?
Ed, are you saying that you don't build a church for Easter Sunday?
That's correct, you actually don't.
That's
And-
right.
And I ran
That's
I ran
right.
manufacturing facilities for many years.
Yeah.
And what we did is we capacitized to 75 to 80%. And if we had to do things, then we had overtime and we brought in second shifts and all that kind of stuff. Granted, you can't bring in a second shift to a pool, but my real question is again, how did you determine the usage of the pool and what level of capacity is this planning based upon that maximum usage of the pool?
Larry?
Yep, I'll try to answer that, but I don't have all the figures that I can give you at the top of my head. There are standards that are used for pool in regards to square footage, including right down to lap swimming, including water exercise people, including just unstructured swimming. What is the amount of surface area space that needs to be available for the people? And then that is all related computationally to the size of the gated community. So there are gated community standards, I shouldn't say standards, guidelines in regards to what that capacity is for that pool and what you need to have based on the population of that gated community. That's number one. Number two is in regards to volume, there's also some standards for that. So if you want to have a premier pool, they've got standards for that. If you want to have a recreational pool, a fitness pool like we're doing, there's standards for that. So that's the gallons per user, again, based on population. So that's another reference call that they have. In regards to monitoring the people coming in on the weekends, one of the first things we looked at is using the key fob. The problem with the key fob is one of the gates is constantly left open, and we've constantly got notices that we put up there not to leave that open. We have no way to control when somebody comes in with a key fob, who they are, who's coming in with them. So we can't monitor the numbers, and we don't have video of those gate areas to monitor that, come up with a software equation for that. So we don't know the answer on how many are using it on what particular day here. That we don't have.
Okay, so basically you just took a formula and just threw it out there, and that looks like about what we should use. Okay,
Yeah, and
I get that, that's fine, I don't,
and
I understand that entirely. Just when I heard 90 umbrellas and I saw, and shade areas and all that kind of stuff, it really, to me, appears in looking at what I see there, and again, seems like a bit of overkill.
And we're going to look at all that. Now, remember, we've leaned We've leaned considerably on the experience of the vendor. He's done almost every gated community in Western North Carolina. So we're leaning on him, but now we're going to go, I've lost it. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take all this information and relook at this. Remember, this is the board that is responsible for making a decision on your behalf based on everything that you've given us. So now we're going to take that information and go back with that pool vendor and look at where we need to be.
Thank you, Ed.
My name's David Lacter. My wife and I have been residents here for 27 years.
Wow.
And I got to say, this is what makes Conisty special. We're always moving forward. I remember when this place was built, when the lounge was added, the controversy when the wellness center was put in. Larry, you sure weren't, sure didn't want to put it there, but it's there. And I remember going to the old wellness center, and I was the only person working out there. Now this place is packed. So my point is, I thank everybody for looking forward. That's what makes Conisty special and continues to grow and become a unique community. Now, I don't mean to offend pickleball players, but those pickleball courts belong to Conisty, not to the pickleball members. And I've got an interesting question. I want to know how tall that wall is conceived to be and what its composite is.
Is this working? We got it back. Basically, the fence is approaching 20 foot, probably around 18 foot.
Are you talking
the wall, let me answer, I think I know what he's asking. You're asking about the wall in that building? That is up about 10 foot at the highest. And the length I can't give you, but I would guess it's probably on the order of 50 to 60 foot. The wood material is a composite wood. And then what the vendor envisioned from a safety standpoint is to put up cushioning materials to try to enhance the safety for any pickleball player that could potentially run beyond the lines and into that. What else do I need to tell you? I think that's answering all your question.
Okay, I'm gonna, I asked that because would you consider the possibility of that wall doubling as a handball court or a racket squash court? The pickleball players are there in the morning and the afternoon. In the later afternoon, this place is vacant. And if you had a multifunctional ability, a handball court might be interesting if you're going to build a wall. Just a thought to put out there.
Thanks.
I would also, David, you've brought a, how do we put this? Unique perspective. But I've known you for 14 years, so I'm not surprised. I just want to comment one more time about the placement of the building. One of the issues that came up in the planning phase, and believe me, we've heard the feedback, we get it. The shadows, the cutting off of the air, all this other kind of stuff that adversely might impact pickleball. The decision to place that, the initial recommendation to place that there was not arbitrary. There was a lot of discussion about creating a noise barrier between the pool and pickleball and between pickleball and the pool. And so that was one of the initial driving considerations, correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, in that.
Absolutely correct. And remember, we also had, when we sent the RFQ out for potential contractors, we had some visit. And so they were able to see the way we have the layout, the proximity and everything. And with all their experience, that's basically what we all came back with. And since then, that's why we're doing these renderings, to try to find out what the perspective is from everybody that is in this community and see what we need to do to move forward.
Thank you, David.
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. My name's Lindy Rinaldi. I've been here for about 18 years and have enjoyed my Conisty time and hope to be here for many, many more years. I'm a pickleball person, tennis, I play bocce, all of it, and enjoy all that, and maybe some handball in the future. Wherever that's going to land, I don't know.
That is vaulted to the very top of priorities for the community. Although, you know, I was personally lobbying for a rifle range next to the pickleball court, but noise considerations, probably not.
Sure. And so appreciate all that you're doing and all the comments in this preliminary, and I understand that there'll be some changes made that can be made, and we'll come back out and we'll get to talk about that again.
Yes.
Okay. I was listening to a previous conversation about the demolition and construction for the new pool, impacting pickleball courts, parking lots, whatever. It's going to have to happen to do this pool. There's going to be equipment. And was just wanted to consider, just a thought, to maybe relocating the bocce courts to the tennis area and maybe have a staging area in that particular area that, you know, could be something else one day when you're done with construction. Parking lot or a pickleball court or, I don't know, storage. That's just a thought. Wanted to see if anyone considered that, or is this a news flash?
We have spitballed any number of alternatives.
Okay.
Relocating one amenity to another site and taking the amenity that's on that site and putting it at the amenity that we just cleared.
Yeah.
So all those types of things, you know, with the feedback we are looking at, and you know, we've got close to 4,000 acres. I wish that a higher percentage of it was imminently and easily improvable and buildable, but it's not. So we appreciate the comment about the bocce ball, although had that been made earlier in this process, we probably would have as many bocce ball people in here right now as we do pickleballers.
Played bocce there as well, and I enjoy it. And it just doesn't seem to me, because you made a comment about the area where the tennis is, it's a dump site or something to that effect. There's a lot of nice grassy area that in bocce would be, to me, it'd be easy to do there and enjoyable. There's a bathroom and there's already places to be. And,
Absolutely.
the other-
Interesting suggestion.
and the other comment, and I like a swimming pool, but I'm not around a lot of children a lot. And you know, I'm much of a child myself, and we would need to be separated some or whatever. But there's, you know, and I look at the two pool solution, and I think it's great, lap swimming and so forth. If that could just stay for lap swimming and exercise, that would be wonderful, instead of two pools full of people. The larger recreational pool, to me, looks like a large kiddie pool. I don't see how far the 5-foot depth is. You said it's there, but there's no three-dimensional picture to see just how much room is that? And would you consider where that, one of the shallow ends are, just kind of cutting that off? And because if you do have an event in there with a diaper or bio whatever, no one can get in any of the pool. So if you just shut down that little pool and you keep the bigger side open.
Obviously, we're going to be taking a look at that large pool. There's a lot of comments that have come in on that. We're absorbing all those comments. We are going to look at that. I think Ed's idea of actually where I was going with that was an indoor hardball court. So I think that's something that we ought to start planning on.
Interestingly, when the issue of biological events came up in the Saturday meeting, a rumor made the rounds that the existing kiddie pool shares a pump and filtration system with the main pool. Now, we have since confirmed that that is not the case, right, Mr. General Manager?
Correct.
That is right.
So, thank you very much.
My name is Carol Zelli. Bill is my husband. I've been handed his yellow file. Earlier, you were talking about placing the contracts out to get a bid going, and that demolition couldn't start until you had a general contractor in place. Is that correct?
Well, it's a little more than that. The next stage in this, let's try to make this simple. We're collecting information. We can't go to a final design until we deal with all this input.
I understand that.
And then we got to
Obviously,
go to the next step, which is going to bid out contracts.
You are going to have to change the design to some degree. Obviously, you've had lots of comments. You cannot get a bid for the final cost, obviously, till that's all in place. Are you going to wait till all of those plans have been finalized to get your general contractor? Because you've then stated that demolition can't start until you have a general contractor, and that process may be longer than the 10 weeks you've scheduled.
Absolutely, and we've acknowledged that. Demolition can't start until we have a member vote
I
on
understand all
on
that.
a firm contract and a final design.
And-
So, you know, the sequencing is the demolition won't start until this is, as they say, a done deal.
Okay, and then there is site preparation. Are we doing that, or is that part of the contract that you will be issuing to an outside entity?
Some of that will be ours, some of that will be the GC.
And that site preparation done by our fine employees will not include building that retaining wall, will it?
No, it will not. I've already stated that for the
Okay, so
question earlier.
That will be up to the general contractor to place that out for bid or to do it themselves.
Correct.
And then, and only then, the site would really not be prepared until that takes place, because no building can take place.
Correct.
Until the retaining wall is.
Correct.
Is up. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
What we came here for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, why did you hand that responsibility off? She's meaner than you. Yes, sir.
I'm Michael McCarthy. I've been here about 15 years in Coniston. We've raised a couple children here also, and for about 10 or 12 years of their time here, we spent every day this summer at the pool. Greatly enjoyed it. But I do have a couple concerns about the proposal you have going forward. The pool is approximately, what, 30 years old now, our existing pool?
28 exactly.
28 years old.
Where I come from, pools were built in the 50s. They're still going strong. And they're supported not by a large community, but by families, a couple hundred families, 300 families maybe is total membership. $200 per adult and less for children. They can financially support that pool, do the maintenance on that pool, and have been doing it since 1955. A list of 11 or 12 pools that I know of in one immediate area, that's the case. So I'm concerned is the existing pool leaking water? Are there cracks in the gunite? Underground piping, is that deteriorated and leaking? Has a study been done on that?
You want to respond?
I could say yes, to some degree, yes. But we know a number of code issues that are cited every year when we go to reopen the pool that they've allowed us to be grandfathered on. But at some point, it's not if, it's just when that we're going to get cited on it.
But fundamentally, the pool is sound.
We've had issues, especially the last few years, with tile coping falling off. We've had issues with the,
Don't tell me about the tile. I watched you try to replace tile. And you shut down the pool to do that. You don't need to do that. You take 6 inches of water out of a pool and do it over 2 or 3 days. I've done it many times in my life. So it's not
Mike, we'd be interested in specifics about the 11 pools that you cited.
Go on, just Google North Brandywine Swim League.
Okay.
See a list of 10, 12 pools.
Okay.
And you can look at each one. Most of them, you can see the history and when they were built and so forth.
Okay.
It's in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. But irregardless of that, I think the design of the main pool, very dangerous. I spent a number of years as a lifeguarded pools. Mentioned earlier, the sight lines are horrible. Walk-in areas, you can drown in 2 inches of water just as well as 5 feet of water. Parents at our pool here are not the best at watching children.
You're being kind.
Have children doing flip off the side of the pool, diving in that pool, and it's going to be shallower now. You're going to have an injury or worse. So I really think we need to consider lifeguards. You can have that many children in those pool areas. You have full-time lifeguards, not a monitor. We've had monitors there over the years. Basically, they're worthless. They sit under the shade where the ping pong tables were, do nothing. They don't enforce the rules. Why bother with them? The concern I have with the lap pool is at one area, it's 3 feet, 3.5 feet deep possibly. Is that deep enough to do a flip turn in?
the answer is yes. Brevard's 3.5 feet. Our Brevard Racket Club.
Possibly, but those are young people doing the flip turns. I can do a flip turn, but some people at our ages, they're not as tight at a flip turn. It's a more loosey-goosey flip turn. The other issue I have with it, in the winter, you get out of that water, that deck area is going to be wet and freeze. Who's taking care of the ice on that deck? Going to heat the decks?
No, that's not in the plan at this point.
Or
Yeah.
people are going to slip and fall.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it.
We've
That's
got the
good
feedback.
information.
We've got it. If there's more, please, let's get over here after the meeting. Thank you, Mike. Hold on, I think they're going to replace your mic, Jan, or do something here.
Since I haven't,
There you go.
all right, we'll try it again. Jan Newsom, Okanoa Circle, here for about 16 years. And I'm very much in favor of improving our amenities and taking care of our things. I think Conisty Falls has a great reputation in the area. A lot of people want to buy in here. And over the years, we have talked about replacing a pool. I'm kind of shocked that the pool's only 28 years old because pools can last 50 to 75 years. But for whatever reason, we're looking to upgrade it, but we need to also put in the reserve accounts money to Marcite it, re-Marcite it every 15 years and possibly retile it. Apparently during the 28 years, we've done none of that and the pool has deteriorated. Now that's not anybody individually's problem. But having been on the Finance Committee for 7 years, I pulled up a copy of the budget. Dave, I believe you mentioned we were going to take 3 million out of the amenity reserve fund, and then another
3.1.
and then another 400,000 out of the capital. A little bit later, you added to that and indicated that the way we do the reserve funds, we cannot have less than 1.5 million in the fund. Well, on the budget that I have pulled out 2 days ago, it said the amenity reserve fund had 3.6 million, though you were anticipating it possibly going to 3.9 by the end of the year. So it seems we're going to be somewhat on the short side in that fund.
And that has been shared with the board by the Finance Committee. And the Finance Committee has said that there will be additional revenues flowing in between now and throughout the project in such a fashion that we will be in compliance with that 1.5 million hard deck.
Well, let's hope so. Now, on the design of the...
What I'm saying, Jan, is that we have an agreement, and we've been good in our agreements with the Finance Committee and members, that we have these standards and we stick by those.
All right. Now, with the
So
design...
it's a little bit more than hoping so.
Okay. With the design of the current pool, as the last gentleman mentioned, there's a lot of shallow areas. And I don't remember, I go to the pool about 5 days a week, never see any of you fellows there, but there's a lot of children, which is fine, but their purpose in having fun is doing a running jump and going, see who can make the biggest cannonball splash. The other day, I saw a girl diving off her father or somebody, grandfather's shoulders, and she came up and she said, "This water's too shallow. I hit the bottom." Now, that's going to be a big occurrence because we've got real shallow water all around. And as far as little children being in the pool, I realize it's been said over and over, but according to the CDC, Center for Disease Control, swim diapers and swim pants are not leak-proof. And we really, how often do we do an E. coli test? They recommend weekly.
We test weekly. We also test the lakes weekly. We do it every Monday from May to November.
Well, that's good. They also suggest that those same children have their diapers changed every hour, if not every 30 minutes, after bouncing around in the pool. Now, the diapers do get changed at the end of the day before they go home, right on the tables that other people eat off of. So that's not necessarily a good situation at all. I didn't get my lap lane question in.
You got your 3 minutes, Jan.
I'll go.
You can circle back around or we can meet afterwards.
I'm Kathy Fender, lived here for about 4 years, and I live on Utsanati. I think this has been brought up once before also, but you mentioned the AstroTurf, and I just wanted to let you know, coming from San Diego, everybody replaced their lawn because there's no water there. It gets really, really hot, really hot. The second thing that I've noticed that gets really hot is the metal aluminum handrails and ladders. Neoprene or some kind of paint or spray, I think, could take the temperature down on the aluminum. I didn't see too many handrails on the diagrams, but I assume they'll probably be added. The other thing I wanted to mention is possibly, even though there's already 90 umbrellas, 92 would be good if those little jut outs instead of the plants, if they could put some kind of shade over the water would be good too, just be able to stand in the shade in the water. And my question is for the heating of the pools, are they going to both be heated or are they just going to heat the lap one to extend the life of it?
First of all, the grass issue, we've had other people note that, and that's been identified. The pool in regards to the, what was your last question? I mean,
Heating of the pools, they'll both be heated.
the what?
They'll both be heated.
Oh, the heating of the pools, each one of them is going to be separately heated and will have its own pumping system. The chemical, the way that we're going to disinfect it is going to be a combination of UV, ozone, and a very small amount of chlorine compared to anything that are used in conventional pools today. And that's the technology that's been used in the last about 4 to 5 years and is commonplace for most new pools going in. Thank you.
The other thing we heard about turf, correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's petroleum distillates that leach over time. Didn't we hear that as well?
That is correct.
And
That's one of the reasons
that's
why.
problematic.
That's one of the same reasons that some of the football players are advocating to get rid of artificial grass. Thank you for your
ma'am.
questions.
Yes, hi. I'm Roxanne Zesmer. We've been here close to 27 years. Seen a lot of progress. We absolutely love Conisty Falls. We think it's a hidden gem. I was doing really fine at this meeting until we got to the diapers in the pool. So my question is there a space, because that's not a very large kind of kiddie pool to put somewhere. Isn't there a kiddie pool that could be put where you wear diapers? Anybody, children, adults, you go in the kiddie pool.
We've captured the feedback, and we're going to need to consider how we address that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Greg Wilson, I'll be real brief. The turf, I finally figured out the purpose of that. If you've got families with young children, they want to put a beach blanket down and let the kids crawl around on it. It provides a soft surface for those infants. So could it be something other than indoor-outdoor grass, indoor-outdoor, some style of carpet with padding underneath it or something? Yes, but I think it's a kids' infant play area. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jan, it seems you're determined to ask your lap lane question, so have at it. Bring us home.
As a lap swimmer, I just want to get a little clarification on the new lap pool. It appears there's really only 2 lanes and the other lane is a walking lane because it's lower depth water.
Nope, there are 3 absolute lanes. And then the ADA ramp is what we're calling it. That is separate. So that's an additional. So if you look at the total width of the pool, it's 21 foot plus, I believe it's around 4 foot is the width of that ADA ramp.
Okay. Like I say, I go to the pool 5 days a week. I do lap swimming, never have a problem having a place to swim. So I don't know if we're really gaining a whole lot or if we shouldn't just have a pool for kids and babies and have an adult pool.
Thanks, Jan.
Thank you, Jan.
Hi, Charles Robinson. Again, regarding the fitness and wellness pool, with the automated top, the cover, is that just opened at a certain time every day, like in the winter, or is it triggered by someone, or how does that work?
Yeah, let me explain that. And I didn't do probably a good justice of explaining exactly what that is for. The way that we're going to extend the season is utilizing that. So our thought process, even though the pool vendor, he believes that we could use that 24 or 12 months out of the year. We are probably initially not going to recommend until we see that there's a demand. So our initial call is to go ahead and provide at least 10 months so that we can at least see what the demand is if it's beyond that, so that we cover the shoulder seasons, which is basically what a lot of people have been requesting. And that is going to be nothing more than a push button. So once we get into the season where the nights are starting to get cold, obviously at the end of the day, it's a push button and that closes right up. It's also safe so that we don't have to worry about somebody trying to tread on that and fall in. Also during the time period that we will start to get into the cold days, then we'll make decisions in regards to scheduling and let everybody know what time periods we're going to have it open and not. But whoever is going to be in charge of the pool from Nathan's operational staff standpoint, they'll have responsibility for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
Charles.
question.
Hi, Susan Griffin. First of all, I am the last person swimming in October. So, and the reason I stop is not because of the water temperature, it's because you can't get in and out. So anyway, it occurred to me with this diaper issue, because I think it is an issue. Why do we have we don't need the slope in. Why don't we put a splash pad there? Kids just like water. They don't care if they're standing in it, they love just being in water. And a splash pad there would eliminate the issue of connecting it to the bigger recreational pool and get kids in diapers out of the water.
Certainly an alternative for us to consider. Absolutely. All right, it's 5 minutes until 5. And invariably, when we have projects like this, we get very high level of interest. I pointed out in the meeting on Saturday that as you look around Conisty Falls, one of the things that we really believe is that this is a unique community. Not only is it unique in how it's structured and what it is, there's a very high likelihood that nothing similar to this will be developed again in this area. You know, what we were able to do 55 years ago would probably be prohibited or significantly restricted today. But everything that you see around you, from the golf course to the pool, to the pickleball, to the bocce, to the tennis, to the dining room and clubhouse, to the activity and wellness center, all the amenities, the dog park, the organic garden, all of these things have come about as a result of processes very similar to this, where plans are made, plans are communicated to membership, membership provides feedback, the board and management adjust, and then reconsider, and then bring forward to the community. Anything over $350,000, when we renovated this clubhouse in 2018, there was a lot of people that were adamantly opposed to renovating the clubhouse. And if you were here then, you'll recall that in many respects, this place resembled kind of a fully depreciated assisted living clubhouse. It was not attractive. It was not functional. The bar, thank you, Richard, the bar was, Richard's working on an early exit. The bar was literally where the Blue Ridge Lounge is now, up against that wall behind the bar. It was a space maybe 5 feet deep. Look what we have in the Blue Ridge Lounge now. And look at what we've got in the improved dining facility, the beautiful library that we have. All that is the result of that. I would mention also that when we did the renovations to the clubhouse, this guy right here, Larry Rourke, who was involved with the facilities planning committee then, took 15 groups of people, of members through the clubhouse, and said, here's what we're proposing. Here's why we're proposing it. Here's the difference that it's going to make. It's the same process that's happening right now. And that's how we were able to garner the support that we did. When we installed fiber optic on the west side, $900,000 investment on the part of this community. We had members on this side of the community saying, well, why should I pay for something so that they'll have better fiber optic than I do, or better cable than I do over here? Because we're one community. And we have various priorities, competing priorities, unlimited priorities with very limited financial resources. And so we have to consider all of that as we develop these plans and present them to the community. And these presentations over 4 days have been a critical, essential part of that process. And we appreciate the feedback. We've captured the feedback. You will get responses from the board on the feedback, and we will keep you apprised of developments as they occur, including modifications to the timeline as they become necessary. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your input. We really appreciate it and look forward to future communications with you on this. Thank you so much.